morning, good morning. Gentleman Jim the Tailor.
And Victoria Baylor, professional dressmaker.
And we want to say season's greetings, happy holiday, happy Hanukkah, happy Kwanzaa. We want to reach out to everybody and say that we're thankful to be here. We're thankful that the Lord has brought us through another year.
Absolutely.
And now in this celebration time, it's just wonderful to have been able to share these moments with you guys.
Absolutely. And last time we talked to you, it was Thanksgiving, so we pray you and your family, everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Did you have a good Thanksgiving?
I sure did. Didn't eat too much turkey either.
Well, you had better self-control than I did. I think I gained about 4 pounds. Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Okay.
So this show, as promised, it was mentioned in last week's show.
Absolutely.
Even though we didn't physically appear here, we did release a video, I guess, introducing the sewing machine that we'd be giving away.
That's right.
And how to enter the giveaway. And so many people signed up for that, which was really great.
We got a winner, too.
We do have a winner. But we're going to make you sweat and wait a little bit to the end of the show to announce that winner. In the meantime, we're going to stay in the same vein of thinking, since we're giving away a sewing machine, why not talk about how to purchase a sewing machine? So we hadn't covered that before, so this show is dedicated to that.
How about that? There are many, many different types of sewing machines out there. Everywhere from a conventional manual sewing machine to the most high-tech computerized sewing machines. I have a theory on them, and my lovely partner, she has a theory on them. And we're going to kind of break down the differences in sewing machines, and then I'm going to, once we do this type of sewing machine is commonly called a portable sewing machine, meaning you could pick it up, move it somewhere. I'm going to talk a little about industrial machines too, and the pros and cons of those.
Absolutely, because this is really cool. A lot of times people buy too much sewing machine or they buy too little. Well, whether you're interested in upgrading your sewing machine or you're buying for the first time, we hope the show will be super helpful. Because a lot of guys out there, you gals, guys, are interested in upgrading to an industrial.
Sure.
And you've kind of been curious about. So we have some general advice if you're interested in purchasing for the first time or upgrading that you should know. Correct, Mr. Jim? And we just have a few little bit tidbits of information.
Yeah.
Number one is do your research and do your homework.
You really should.
Can we stress that enough?
We do that all the time, and do your homework.
That's right. And you know, sewing machines are actually a big purchase. I mean, it can be a big ticket item. A really good sewing machine can run anywhere between $400 on up. You can get good ones for $299 if you know what you're going for and you don't need all the bells and whistles.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a lot of money to sink into a machine.
You know, it is, and this is what happens to a lot of people, especially first-time sewers. They buy too much machine, and then they're confused because, and the too much machines basically come in the form of the ones with the computer in it.
That's true.
Remember, it is a computer.
That's right.
And a lot of times, there's a lot of times that people get confused with the mechanics of a computer machine opposed to a manual machine. I'll speak on the manual machines because this is my favorite manual machine. Not this particular model or brand, but this is just a manual machine, meaning it doesn't have a computer in it. Everything is kind of a dial up or a switch on or flip over there. I like these machines for one reason only. There's less chance of something going wrong where you can't continuously sewing. By that I mean that there's no computer in it, so it's nothing to really shut down.
That's true.
Sometimes they will stick or they'll malfunction, and there's always a reason. A lot of times people, especially my students, they get there and the stitch skips. There are several reasons for that. In the threading, usually when the stitch skips, it has a lot to do with the threading, or is it clean inside?
That's right.
And I always tell my students, make sure that you clean the inside of it, because the hairs, the thread particles, the dust get in it, and it could stop the revolution of the bobbin or the shuttle from moving.
Absolutely, and he's so right, and we're definitely going to get more in depth about that. Manual versus computerized versus industrial machines. A lot of good decisions to be made. So in choosing what you need, of course, as Mr. Jim was saying, definitely do your homework. Figure out, what it is that you really do need, and then go after those machines. I talked to someone the other day, just candid conversation. She found out I was a sewer, and her first machine was like a $600 machine. She said she didn't even know how to use the thing. She ended up giving it away to a friend, and her friend like was salivating. She said, "I'll take it." 15 years later, she never got that machine back. Can you believe that? All because she bought the wrong machine. Okay, so the second tip is always test drive your machine.
That's right.
You wouldn't buy a car without test driving it, correct? So you want to bring different types of fabrics to wherever you're going to buy your machine at, and you want to test them on that particular machine. If you know you sew leather, you want to buy a machine that obviously helps you sew leather, and you want to kind of test its limits, right, Mr. Jim?
That's right. That's right. A lot of times when you we'll say test drive, we'll test sew.
That's right.
The difference of the fabrics that you use can also determine the type of sewing machine that you buy. Because
Absolutely.
if you're going to sew a lot of, well, let's say for argument's sake, bags, which are quite thicker than regular fabric.
That's right.
You want to make sure that sewing machine will go over and through the bag material.
Absolutely. So you don't want to buy the wrong machine and then you end up burning it out within a few short weeks. That would not be good. We already said you want to pick based on needs, so definitely know what it is that you do need. If you're transitioning to become a business owner, you might want to think differently about the type of machine that you get. You might need to skip these and go on to an industrial.
Right.
Mr. Jim will be able to tell you more about that later. Take advantage of sales. Like anything, this is a good. They can go on sale. Mr. Jim's got that look.
All of them there. One thing for sure, you can always buy a sewing machine on sale.
Please
always,
do.
Always.
Yes.
Most of the time, you can find these sewing machines on sale from Targets, through a Joann's, through a Hancock,
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com,
I'm a big Amazon person.
all of them.
That's
and
right.
always check, you're right, always check those prices on Amazon.com, and then you can go to your locals and see what you can find that same sewing machine at maybe a better price, maybe not.
Absolutely, and they oftentimes still come with the same warranties and everything, but just like Mr. Jim says, and it's the end of the year. Consider that. There's always holiday sales, Black Friday sales. And then another neat way to kind of skim around if you want to save some money is consider getting a model that's about to be phased out. If there's nothing wrong with it and they're upgrading in the company, hey, go with that. It's a lot cheaper.
Let me tell you something about upgrading in sewing machines. Most of the time, the upgrade is not in the sewing mechanism. It's in the cabinet. It's just like a car. We're talking about cars.
Yeah, the mechanics are still
the mechanics are the same. They change the housing. They change what they package it in. You buy a car that's 1 year old or 4 year old or brand new, the mechanics are really the same. It's the housing. It's how the car looks. It's the new this, the new that. Well, they square them off. They round them off. They make the bed this way. They put the light in a different spot. Same sewing machine. So don't get really hung up on, well, I've got to have the latest model.
No, you
well,
don't.
if you can get an older model, it's the exact same sewing machine. But now, if you want the latest model, call me. I'll research it for you and I'll sell it to you at my premium price.
That's right. So please be smart. Don't get so trigger happy that you missed the point. And I like that a lot of companies will have side-by-side chart comparisons within their brand. So you can see, and you're absolutely right. Sometimes the difference between one of the same, like two similar machines, is just one additional check on the box. It does like an additional buttonhole, something crazy like that or whatever. Okay, so keep that in mind. Also, you could buy refurbished or even a floor model sewing machine and get a discount. My first serger is actually a floor model serger. It was like over $1,000. I got a good chunk off of that, and it was well used. I mean, they took it to a couple of conferences, and I've had it for like 10 plus years. Knock on wood. It's been really great. So consider that. Be careful when buying refurbished, right, Mr. Jim?
Well, you have to.
I have a few of those.
Refurbished is a little different than a floor model.
That's true.
Refurbished machine basically is one that had some challenges. It went back to the service house. They reserviced it. They put it back in circulation. Now, a lot of times it was just a minor adjustment, but because it was refurbished, they can't sell it at the brand new price again. And let me say this about buying used sewing machines.
Oh, please, definitely.
Buying used sewing machine.
Touch on
a
that.
lot of times, somebody has either purchased a sewing machine with the grand theory that I'm going to be this master sewer, or somebody purchased a sewing machine for them. Sometimes they have never taken it out the box.
Yes, that is how I acquired my cover stitch machine. I have a brother something. It's the popular cover stitch machine. I got that thing dirt cheap because a woman thought she was going to use it. Didn't use it. I think I paid $2 It was really, really cheap. I saved like $100 off the price, and I bought it used. I also bought this one used, and it was refurbished, but I think it was missing a small piece or something like that. And I called the company, and they were like, "Oh, it was just missing something. It still has factory seal on it." I was like, I'll take it. Again, saved, I think, $300 on it. So consider that.
Yeah, look into all of those methods there.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, you want to honor your warranties. So if people do buy new, keep in mind you want to keep up with the care and maintenance on your machine so that your warranty will be intact. Don't take it to Joe Schmo in the back alley and then your warranty is obsolete. And if you start having real issues with your machine, the maker of the machine won't, handle servicing it.
You made a mention about maintenance of your sewing machine. What's the maintenance on a sewing machine?
Well, and we were going to get into that a little later, but I think we can chat about that now. As far as maintenance goes, at least as my definition of maintenance for some of my machines is to take it to someone that actually does the tune-up.
It's called a tune-up.
Well, yeah, and I think it's a twofold. I'm happy you mentioned that because you can do a tune-up. So she goes for her annual appointment, just like, I take my kid, I take my other babies for the annual appointment.
You take your car to get it tuned up.
That's right. So your sewing machine is a machine. It's nonetheless, I put a lot of miles on her, and like I have 8 of them. So you got to take care of them. But it's always good to do a tune-up, and then maintenance isn't a once a year deal. You want to maintain your machine as you use it. So pretty simple. In between usage, you want to make sure, like Mr. Jim mentioned earlier, you don't have a lot of, if you, like say for instance, if you sew with velvet or something has a lot of piles that get loose, you want to go in your machine and make sure you kind of blow out any excess threads or debris or anything. Kind of keep it clean, make sure the shuttle isn't jam-packed with threads. Usually I don't have to go in and do much maintenance on my machine because it's a self-oiling machine. So mainly
that's the key.
Yes. Okay. Well, see, ding, I hit
oil.
That. That's right. Oil. I was gonna get to it. I was all going over the river and through the woods. But yes, so oil is the number one, and it mainly it's funny that Mr. Jim really highlights that because he works. I have an industrial, but his bread and butter is industrials. And they come with like oil. You will get to see when he shows the machine. There's an oil reservoir, like it holds like gallons of, not that much, but it holds a lot of oil. Because in order to run something so fast, you have to have oil. These are no different. Whether you add oil to your machine, as the manual says, or it's self-oiled, it can't run without oil. It's like a car. So yes, yeah. So that's as far as maintenance, but we'll go a little bit more in depth. But anyway, that's the general advice we're giving to those who are interested in upgrading or purchasing a brand new one. So let's go ahead and talk about these individually.
All right, let me tell you a few things about an industrial sewing machine. One of the key factors is it comes automatically with table, stand, and a motor. Now, the physical sewing machine on all industrial machines is metal. See? Now see, I have magnets here. This is how I keep my little pins and my threads and my pins in order. The sewing machine basically threads the same way as yours does. The difference is they put the thread catches in different places, but it follows the same pattern. Most of the time, your thread threads out of here. Mine is on a stand with a bigger cone. This pin here on yours normally is back here or up here. Then it follows the same routine pattern. It goes down, it comes through a couple of catches. This is my tension here. Your tension is usually up in here. And yours follows down, and it goes through the same way. This little pivot here that moves is the same thing that you have. Yours has a little slit that, or a hole that you put it through. Goes down the same way, then it feeds into the needle. Now, on industrial machines, it feeds in what we call the front. This is the front of the machine. So the thread feeds in this way, whereas yours it feeds in this way. Now, that's basically the same thing. The difference between the industrial machine is this sews extremely fast, but also, like yours, you have to control the speed because you can't sew but so fast anyway, because then you lose control of it. This is capable of going over anything at any height. One of the reasons is the presser foot lifts up very, very high, so I can get some thickness under there, whereas some it doesn't lift up as high. We use a similar type needle as you use, but it's an industrial needle. Most of ours come with different size and different presser feet that do things that yours doesn't come equipped with. I'm going to show you a couple of feet that I have here that enable me to do several things that you can't do, and I'm going to show you why. Now, first of all, it comes with a standard presser foot like yours does, but you see how much narrower it is than the ones that you use. Now, there are companies that make these for portable sewing machines that are narrower. This here has one edge on it. This could allow me to do zippers. It could allow me to put piping in something. It could allow me to do several things. Here's the reason why these are different. We don't have that little back part that sticks out. See, all of ours are completely smooth, whereas you have a little hump on both sides that does not allow you to get but so close. Then this is an invisible zipper foot that's used in industrial sewing machines. This automatically holds the zipper teeth down while the thread and the needle go as close as could be. Okay? There's no hump that you'll get on some of them that impedes you, especially when you get around where the zipper slide is. That's one of the reasons. This machine here is built to last 75 years. Now, why? You still have to maintain it, just like you do yours. The difference is the size of the motor. On most portable sewing machines, the motor is no bigger than my fist. On this sewing machine, the motor is almost as big as the whole sewing machine. We're going to show you a picture of that later, of how big that motor is. That's what adds to the life of the sewing machine. Not that it sews any different or any better. It's the motor. The motor on yours is, like I say, it's no bigger than my fist, and it's housed within the sewing machine. This motor is separate. It hangs under the table. Now, why do I say it will last? If you sold your sewing machine at the rate you sew an industrial at, the motor will burn out because it's not built for that. It's built for more or less stop and go sewing. Sew here, you don't sew here. You can run this 24 hours a day for about 40 straight years and it won't burn out. You'll never sew on yours that length of time at that pace for any reason. Now, I talked about where the oil goes in. This sewing machine has a reservoir in here that has a self-oiler that the oil goes up in here and it keeps the sewing machine flowing. That's really the difference in this. But these are for people who really are going into business or who do a lot of sewing. If you're not really going into certain types of businesses too, then you'll find with the sewing machine that you have, then it's good to have both. I have all kind of sewing machines in here, but this is my industrial sewing machine that I use. Now, it's just like any other sewing machine. Is one better than the other? Sewing machine is only as good as the operator that operates it. This happens to be in the Juki brand. Singer makes them. A lot of people make these. Singer was one of the pioneers of sewing machines for a long time. That doesn't mean that the Singer or this is better than either. It all depends on the operator. That is kind of what makes the industrial machine different from the portable one. Now, this sewing machine, the bobbin winder is not on top like most of them are on the portable ones. Mine is on the side. You can't see that, but it feeds kind of the same way. But see, I can run the sewing machine and wind the bobbin at the exact same time because it's a separate mechanism that's on the side. Whereas you have to either wind one, you can't wind and sew. I can sew and wind there. Then also, you have to physically lift the presser foot up. And I have one also with a little lever here. But on industrial ones and some portable ones, they also have a knee lift. As I hit it with my knee, you'll see the presser foot go up. Okay. Mine loads the same way. This is a front load, except mine loads this way. Yours loads that way. And it has the same type of bobbin case, as you see, that front loaders have. Bobbin, bobbin case. Mine goes in this way. On your sewing machine, it goes in this way. I prefer front loaders opposed to top loaders, the ones that drop down in the sewing machine. Years ago, they used to make industrial ones with that also. They stopped doing that. I believe that kind of gives you a general idea of what these industrial machines look like. Now, new or used, you could buy a brand new one and spend $1,000+ or right around that for one of these. It will last you a lifetime. You could buy a used one for anywhere from $400 to $600. It'll still last you a lifetime. You are not going to outsew this sewing machine. I don't care what you think you want to do with it. So even if you found one that was new at a good price, that's one thing. If you find one that's used at a good price, that's even a better thing. What you want to look for, once again, you want to test it. Test the stitching. Make sure it doesn't skip this, that, and the other. These two have to be maintained. Now, not as often as some of your portable ones. Sometimes you might not take this in for servicing, to be very honest with you, until something goes wrong. These are easier to readjust a lot easier. That very seldom does something go wrong with these. That's because all the housing is metal, whereas on a lot of portable sewing machines, it's plastic. Right? So some of these I haven't maintained or I haven't had serviced in years. Only thing I make sure is I keep oil in the tray. I keep it clean. I use a little cleaning brush all the time. Okay? And I make sure that I keep all the fiber dust. Now watch this one here. See, now I've been using this all yesterday. This is what I'm talking about, fiber dust. See, that gets in it. That's what you want to keep out of it because they will slow down the bobbin case from turning. So you want to make sure that you keep these cleaned at all times. And a lot of you have a little brush. Maybe it's not as big as this one. I recommend if you can find one, because a lot of the sewing machines have a little teeny little brush. Get a bigger one because it works better. And I'm forever blowing to keep the dust off of it. and out of the mechanism of making it turn. I can't really show you all of that, but if ever you get around one, you can see they just tilt forward, and you could see, you can get all up in here, get it cleaned out and everything. But they're a lot heavier than yours, a lot heavier. So don't think you could just pick it up like yours, because this has to be separated in moving it. You take the head off first, then you move this table stand and motor. So that's kind of the difference, like I said. But you can buy a new one for right around $1,000, a little more, just depends. They have newer versions that clip the thread. I use a little clipper rather than that. They have a used one, which you can usually find one in the range of $400 to about $600 for a used one. It's not less. You want to make sure your table, if you buy a used one, that the table is in good shape, because your fabric slides along. Your table, you don't want nicks in it where it might snag your fabric. That, my friends, is an industrial machine.
So I'm here to talk about conventional sewing machines, aka manual or computerized machines. And here before you I have my computerized machine. It's a Project Runway. You can tell I was obsessed back in the day. Limited edition brother machine. I bought it a few years back. As I mentioned, I bought it refurbished, and it hasn't given me any major problems. It's been really great. But I guess I'll give you a little bit of pointers about working with the computerized machine. Mainly, of course, it's computerized. As you can see, it has a display here, and which of course is manned like all computers with computer chips and all that other smart stuff. But one of the things to be aware of when you do have a machine that's computerized is that if you do, like Mr. Jim stated, run into any issues, they're sometimes a little bit more harder to resolve because it isn't solely manual. It could be a computer issue. And case in point, earlier this year I ran into an issue with my tension on my machine, so I couldn't manually adjust it, even though I do have, like most machines, my tension dial here, and I can control other parts of how my thread feeds and stuff. There's a dial back here you can't see, but anyway, so there's my tension wheel there. But no matter how many times I tried to change or adjust it, I was unsuccessful because the computerized portion that controlled that tension was off. So I was able to take it to my sewing machine repair. One of the guys I love, Mr. Smiley, he's really great. If you're in Savannah, check him out. I was able to take it to him, and he helped resolve the issue. And to be funny about it, he actually he's not much about fixing computerized machines anymore because of those finicky issues. So that kind of led me to think that for my next machine, I definitely want to change. I don't really want to do a computerized, mainly because I do own an industrial machine now. I have one, and that I sew for a living. So believe it or not, all these bells and whistles, I bought this machine. It doesn't say how many different bells and whistles it has on it, but it has a ton. I bought it for that reason, but you have tons of stitches. Of course, everything's easy to change, it adjusts. I don't use half of this stuff. Actually, I probably use only about 10% of everything on this machine. So I did buy too much machine for my use, but at the time I needed a really good home machine and my business hadn't taken off, so this was perfect. It does do a really great mean sewing machines or buttonhole, so that's all that matters, right? So anyhow, so with computerized machine, you want to be careful of that. One thing I had an issue with out the gate, which of course I just considered it to be a refurbished issue, is that I used to, there underneath this little button here, or this sticker, is actually a button. So I love this, that everything's buttoned, and then I could actually sew, you see this green light here, manually by holding my finger there versus stepping on the pedal. So it's really kind of cool, bells and whistles. And then I have a knee lift, which is also great, that kind of plugs right into there. But going back to why I covered this particular button, is this the thread cut button, and right out the gate I noticed I was having a problem with the machine cutting the thread. So I really didn't need it anyway, I could do it manually, so I just covered that up. So you don't always have to use all the features on your machine, and if you do have a problem with something, don't use it because you don't want to compromise your whole machine for the use of one feature, especially something as simple as that. But again, mainly it's really great. As Mr. Jim stated before, most of these now home machines are made out of plastic, so they don't hold up as well if you're really rough on them. So I had a small piece kind of break up in here, but other than that, they work really good as long as you have them maintained, and this is self-oiling. So again, you want to buy a machine that suits whatever purpose you use. If I did a lot of like little kids wear and I wanted to use all these fancy stitches, this would have been perfect. But again, I'm not using half of this stuff. But I'm trying to think what else I can say about this one. Anyhow, you want to just kind of weigh out, do you want to use a computerized versus a manual? And then a lot of great middle of the line manual machines are so good now that you don't have to really spend a ton on those. So anyhow, that's all I wanted to say really about this. And have fun picking out a computerized machine if you feel like that's for you. If not, shift to a manual. But either way, make sure and do your research and make sure you're getting a good product. Oh, and then one last thing is just cleaning and maintenance. So this is a top-down machine. So you drop your bobbin in there. And one thing to be careful about is just to make sure the shutter and stuff like that is really clean. There's brushes, things to do that. You can follow the manual. But aside from that, it's pretty easy to maintain given that it is self-oiled. So always keep in mind your care, your maintenance, your usage. I did discover that I was using the wrong bobbin for a few years. I was buying just a General Brother bobbin, and there's a specific one for this brand. So once I figured that out, they were 60 cents a piece, which was super expensive. So I decided to forego that and get smart and actually order the appropriate bobbin offline. And I got them through Amazon, I believe, from China. So they're more like 10 cents a piece, or maybe 5 cents. So I fixed that problem, but always use the right supplies so your machine will work. Because I think that was helping with the tension problem I was having. But aside from that, okay, so just always keep in mind these points when you're picking your machine. You want to pick one that functions, works for your needs, and is easy to maintain. So hopefully everybody enjoyed today's show. All the insights we gave about purchasing a sewing machine or what to look for if you were purchasing or planning to upgrade. Yeah. I specifically like Mr. Jim's section on the industrial machine because I know there's a lot of you walking that line out there. You know you want to make the leap, but just didn't know what to look for. So hopefully this information was helpful, right? I hope so too. Like I always say, take your time. Don't rush into anything, it's a big decision. Whatever you buy. That's right. Because it is a decision. Then make sure that this is something that you really want to do. That's right. Otherwise, we'll come by your machine that's sitting in the box. That's right. That's right. I know too many people like that. Call a brother. That's right. We'll buy it. That's right. Okay, so before we announce our winner of our sewing machine giveaway, Mr. Jim wants to kind of give you some insights into some of the great things we're expecting to go down in 2016 year. 2016. That's right. Some great things coming up. I have done a lot of workshops in my studio. I have a very large studio to work in, and I've decided I keep getting calls. I got a lady call me from Chicago, wants to come down here and get a real hands-on workshop. I'm putting a schedule out. It will be posted within the next week of a list of dates of the workshops that I'm going to do. Now, the workshops are going to cover a full hands-on. They'll either be 3 or 4 day workshops, depending on what subject matter we're going to cover. Now, I'm going to give you guys what you're asking for, hands-on. A lot of you guys follow me on YouTube, have purchased my different instructional videos and whatnot, but it's nothing like hands-on. And in the past, I've had people come as far away as North Dakota, Oregon, you name it, Texas, to my workshops. So I'm making available for 2016 that they're going to be limited space. And I do mean limited space because I really want to do like I always do, hands-on. That's right. My students out here are blessed to have me right here. But there's so many people that want to come to Savannah. There's so many people that have come to Savannah for the workshops. So you're going to get a listing on them. I'm going to give you the in-depth, and
sometimes when you look at it on my video, you don't really see me really maneuvering the way I do. And teaching you how to do that by laying hands on you. I'm going to give you all the general categories that you have asked for.
That's right.
Coats, jackets, and pants are the three biggest ones that are asked for, because with those three items and the steps that I tell you guys all the time about straight stitching, pockets and zippers, go on everything. Then I'm going to do several workshops on people on really learning how to do alterations.
Yes.
These will be in-depth. For those of you who want to go into the alteration business, that's a moneymaker, alteration.
I do alterations, it sure
You know,
is.
that's a
quick
moneymaker. That's the thing that keeps you afloat, to
That's
be
right.
very, very honest with you. If you can do alterations and you do them properly. Now, why do I say this alteration is so important? You have no idea how many complaints and how I built my business off of bad alterations. You see people that put a sign out saying we alter clothes all the time, and they really don't do the correct way. And then you want to be able to do the alteration in a minimum amount of time, because in alteration, time is money.
That's right.
I'm going to do some real in-depth workshops on the alteration division. Had a gentleman call me from Chicago. He's got a little alteration business. He wants to get it better. I have a dear friend of mine now, because she's a dear friend of mine in the Atlanta area who has that business. And she came down here and she spent a day with me. And she said how just that one day has improved her alteration business, because there are a lot of things where you get stuck in alterations.
That's right.
Plus, not just that, you will learn how to convert anything in alterations. I'm talking about how to remake a garment, take it and scale it down 3, 4, 5, 7 sizes with it still looking like it was brand new. That's a course that I can't really explain it on a DVD or on a YouTube video. You have to really see how it's done. Now, with these workshops, there will be either 3 or 4 days. The scheduling will come out. Very limited space, and I do mean very limited space. I have more people that have asked for these than I want to handle at one specific time. So, in doing that, I'm going to give dates for these workshops, or if you can't make that date, but you can make a date, all you have to do is notify me, and I'll make special arrangements for you. This is all for 2016. I don't know how much longer I'm going to do this. So I say, if you're going to take advantage of me doing this, please inform us. Now, I have one lady who's already sending me her information, because she won't be first in line for that. So don't wait till the last minute. You'll have plenty of time. They really won't start till the end of February, so you got 2 or 3 months to plan a trip, whichever date that you see. You'll get a well-advanced notice. I want to do a minimum of once a month, or a private little workshop at any given time, providing that my time is available. I want to thank you guys for following us, and you know, we've had a great time this year giving you guys the information with our show. The show is not going to stop, so.
No worries with that. And real quick, in addition to his workshops, well, with the workshops, we want you to know we are actually situated in a very lovely part of the city, so you don't ever have to have an issue with picking hotel accommodations. There are foods and markets all around.
Everywhere.
So it would literally be a sewing vacation for you. So definitely consider that. And then, of course, we have online courses that are coming out that he and I are both going to teach. And then we're talking a conference for next year.
That's
so we'll
right.
spill the beans on that a little later.
That's
so
right.
Stay tuned to your email. You'll get lots of information via email about our newsletters and stuff like that. So stay tuned for that. But we have belabored. Last but not least, let's announce this winner of this sewing machine. There you go. Horn and drum roll, please. Mr. Jim, would you state this person's email? Now, these are it's an email address, so it's not really readable.
Right.
He'll spell it out.
Okay. The winner of the contest email address is STG SCOMBE Now, Cisco, I'm gonna believe is the last name. If I mess your name up, just get your prize.
So it looks like Saint Giscombe.
Yeah, Saint Giscombe.
And we'll of course post it so you can read it
Uh-huh.
at gmail.com. You are the winner of the sewing machine. Of course, we had this open up to, unfortunately, it had to be domestic only. So I pray you are domestic. We can send that out to you. Email us back, please, so we can get you your prize. Thanks for everybody that participated.
Yeah.
It's the season for giving. We love that.
We haven't stopped giving.
No, won't ever happen.
We're going to always have something that we'll make available to you guys because we love you. You know, you guys are what make us happen.
That's right. So thank you again. Congrats to our winner, and hopefully you found today's information helpful.
Happy holidays.
See you. That's right. Happy holidays, and we will see you next week.
All right.
Bye.